We are still quite a ways away from the arrival of 5th gen, but I have some major questions involving the SU-57 Felon. Obviously, this video is probably going to be very controversial. A lot of players can go one of both ways, either thinking that the SU-57 is better or on par with the F-22, or thinking that it is way better than or way worse than the F-22. I can't keep everyone happy in these videos, so just try to kind of listen through it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments without being too mean. So the SU-57 Felon is Russia's answer to the American F-22 Raptor. Now, on top of all of this, a lot of players and a lot of people seem to think that the SU-57 Felon is on par or better than the F-22 Raptor. And in real life, this is definitely not the case. In-game, they do have an argument though. If Gaijin were to go ahead and add the SU-57 Felon, like Russia has propaganda and pointed out how it is, and stated how it is, which we just blatantly know is not true, it would actually be a pretty formidable aircraft. And I still think it will be, and even if people, disagree with how they should add the Felon, I do think people can all agree that it should still be a aircraft that is, able to compete with other 5th generation fighters. So in my opinion, the Su-57 Felon, on paper, from what Russia claims it can do, is an okay aircraft. Has decent radar, has good coverage at least, and it supposedly has very advanced sensors. Now this is where the issues kind of fall into hand. One, I genuinely heavily disagree with what Russia claims the Felon can do as far as radar-wise. And even if they could and can have the full coverage, which I do think Gaijin will add in-game, they've added this to the Eurofighters, I don't think it'll actually be as good as people are claiming it'll be. On top of all of this as well, we come into the conversation of missiles and stealth. The Su-57 Felon is a 5th generation aircraft. Therefore, it should be very stealthy. However, this is, again, just not the case in real life. The Felon is by far the worst stealth aircraft outside of all the 5th generations we have in service in the world. So the J-20, the F-35, and the F-22. If you disagree with that statement, you're just kind of delusional, because that's just stupid. The Felon is the largest of the 5th generation aircraft, and by far has the worst, RCS of it by far. And even if we give it generous, numbers from, say, Russian claimed, or even just what people who are pro-Felon say, it still isn't very good. So on top of all of that, you have to then rely on missiles. And I will say, the R-37M missile on paper, again, very good. And in fact, I can even argue outside of paper because it's been used in Ukraine with limited success. Again, this is where you fall back into another argument of how is it going to compare to things like the AIM-174B on the Super Hornets and the AIM-260s on the Raptors when those are added, because keep in mind, the AIM-260 is now entering service with the United States. And even if the Gaijin doesn't add this, you have late models of the AIM-120 to worry about. Again, this can go both ways. Gaijin can model this to Russia's, success, or to what Russia has claimed, or model off what they think. And honestly, I think they should just do the latter for everything, not just the claimed, but actually just go off what is best for the game, with taking into consideration what it's actually been verified to be able to do. Then we get into another question, which I know a lot of players are going to want to talk about, is maneuverability between the Raptor and the Su-57. Since that's the biggest, argument, it seems to always be that the Felon and Raptor will be so good at stealth that they'll have to dogfight it out. And this is again where I just get into the headspace of, I really don't know why people think the Felon is going to hold its own with the Raptor in a dogfight. Yeah, again, on paper, its maneuverability is good, but argumentative against what the Raptor can offer. I just don't foresee it being as good as the F-22, but again, in-game, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I will say, heavier aircraft, heavier engines, it just doesn't necessarily sit to me as a standalone dogfighter, especially against the Raptor. But again, Gaijin's going to model it to be able to be playable against everything and to be good, at least. And then another argument that, again, has to be had, because Gaijin said that they're wanting to add electronic countermeasures before we see access to 5th gen. And there just isn't even an argument there. I mean, the United States has, since World War II, been head first, number one when it comes to electronic warfare. You can't even really argue that. And if you do, you're just kind of don't know what you're talking about. And to be fair, I'm not too familiar with what Russia offers. I do know some of their ECM has been claimed to do things and then just blatantly didn't work in Ukraine. And again, keeping in mind that when we look at how each country has used their 5th generation aircraft to what success that they've used it, Russia's success with the Felon has been with the R-37M, a pretty impressive air-to-air missile sitting in Russian airspace, lobbying it against Su-27s. That's just blatantly not very good. The F-35's success has been mostly with Israel and the United States, including deep strikes against Iran in heavy airspace, and now in Venezuela with heavy SAM system presence, but this was all grounded out by grinders. By growlers. The Raptor, on the other hand, hasn't seen a lot of combat, but it has been present in a lot of combat situations. Intercepts, it's been present in engagements in Venezuela, it's been present in engagements in Iran, so it's been around. The Felon just isn't what I think it is, honestly. I don't think it's very good. I do want to know what your guys' thoughts are down below in the comments. I'm assuming this video is going to probably end up getting a lot of hate, so we probably won't be making a second video in the future on the Felon, a longer one just kind of talking about it and how I think it'll actually go toe-to-toe against the Raptor. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to join the Discord that's linked down below in the description. Hope you guys, enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.